Alright, update on Axie Infinity. So, I did just check out the Smooth Love Potion chart, and they look exactly the same. Obviously, these two cryptos are tied. If you are looking for Smooth Love Potion analysis alongside SLP, then check out my channel. I do provide both. But before we jump into Axie, let me just show you what SLP is doing. We're kind of potentially forming out the first part of a W. Obviously not confirmed. We could easily lose this floor on this. But if we look at what SLP's just done since our most recent impulse, we've broken below your 786 Fibonacci, and we found a lower low region of support very locally and very temporarily. We've put in a higher low, and if we come into what's going on with Axie Infinity, it's similar in the regard that you've broken below your 786 Fibonacci, and you've temporarily come down and found a lower low. Down here you've come down and back tested this previous high, and I talked about this in yesterday's video. This region absolutely needs to hold. You can see it is a landslide down to the next level, and there's no data traded within this region is the problem, because if we zoom out you can see we had a very clear-cut accumulation range for Axie Infinity for the longest time. I mean, this was almost a year's worth of accumulation, 250 days we accumulated in. And then once you took out the high right here, you literally traded for, how long was it? You traded for 18 days until you blasted past this region, went above the 786 Fibonacci, which obviously was not formed at that moment in time, and then we kept on going up. We haven't been down to these regions for the longest period of time, and we have absolutely no data traded below us. It's been the good part of a year, and we're coming back down to this accumulation range, which we previously accumulated in for a very similar amount of time that it took us to accumulate, and then go up and then come back down to this region. So this level absolutely needs to hold. There is no other last line in the sand. I can't say, okay, well maybe we'll come down to the candle body close. Like, this is literally the last line in the sand, in my opinion, before Axie Infinity goes to much lower price targets. Now, I would almost be hard-pressed to believe that Axie Infinity could flush out too much more, purely based on its charts, because if we look at the oscillators, you can see, you know, your money flow indicator recently had a double bottom at 14, the RSI recently had a bottom at 20. We're completely oversold for the oscillators. On the weekly time frame, the relative strength is very weak, while the money flow indicator is trying to perk this up. So you can see it seems like there's an onslaught of retail traders probably trying to hold this up against a basket of whale sells. I imagine the whales are selling this right now. That is pretty much the only reason why the oscillators can be like this. But nonetheless, Axie Infinity is really not looking too good right now. If we come down to your much lower time frames, you can see we're trying to do something like a Wing out. You can see we've come down here, we broke below this level. If we do W out, we absolutely need to hold $29.25. Now, there's a few things to talk about as well. Number one, there is a Federal Reserve meeting coming in between tomorrow and Wednesday. So within the next 1 to 2 days, we should have this all wrapped up, and I do believe confidence will return into the market. Hopefully that means confidence will return in the stock market, and then that will allow Bitcoin to regain its bullish momentum. Potentially we could see a move up to as high as 46,000 in the very short term for Bitcoin. That would be very nice. However, I do not plan on trading altcoins until this Fed meeting is done. That is number one. So, you know, number one, we've got a very important meeting coming in the next day or so that, in my opinion, will decide the fate of the stock market for the next 3 to 6 months or so. Coming into Axie Infinity, we're literally down at your last leg, so we do need to hold this $29 region. If we start solidly pushing below 29 and putting in daily closes, then it's only going to solidify what the momentum indicators are saying. You can see we're miles away from your daily EMA ribbons. Your daily squeeze momentum indicator is pushing to the downside very harshly. On your 4-hourly EMAs, we've only recently had a harsh rejection, so we need to W out ASAP and get out of here. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be pressed against this floor much before the Fed meeting is soon to be coming. So I think a big break to the upside or the downside is coming. I would definitely wait for the Fed meeting before we did get bullish. We've honestly been sitting on the sidelines for Axie Infinity for quite some time now. I remember covering it in January. We came back up to $71 and we drew this red box and we said, look guys, we're not out of the clear until we break above this box back testing and get out of here. We weren't willing to try and catch a falling knife at $70. We weren't willing to try and catch a falling knife at $45, and we're doing the same thing at $30. The point is, the longer you wait, the longer you be conservative and wait for these markets to turn around, sure, you might not buy the exact bottom, but you're going to miss out on all this blindly DCAing that, you know, most YouTubers think is a really good idea. I'm not of the opinion that you should just DCA every altcoin project. I really only DCA Bitcoin. I don't DCA any other crypto. I always look at the charts, try and find a bottom and try and capitalize off the next momentum shift. I always find that to be way more profitable, because why? Well, if you dollar cost average Bitcoin, you're just trying to get your average buy-in price down, which makes sense over the long term. However, who's to say that Axie Infinity is going to be here in the next 5-10 years? So why would you try to dollar cost average while it's clearly rolling down a hill, when you might just be able to wait for another month and get lower price targets? If we do have a reversal from here, then so be it. You literally just buy at the price that it was at 8 days ago. Like, I mean, if we have a bullish reversal, then, you know, we could be out of here, we could be sure that we're having that reversal, but at this moment in time, you know, the only thing Axie has going for it is its oscillators being completely oversold, and also if we check out the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves, Bitcoin is absolutely down to your lowest Fibonacci band before we come down to 1 deviation oversold, which is historically always the bottom, apart from this place, where we temporarily for a month and a half went below the lowest deviation on our logarithmic growth curve. So I really don't think now is the best time to be DCAing Axie. If you asked me, you know, I'm in Bitcoin for the long term, should I DCA Bitcoin? That might be a different answer, because I think maybe around these regions is a good time to DCA. I'm personally doing it a little bit, but I definitely wouldn't be trading altcoins, especially while we're waiting for this Fed meeting to get out. And especially while Axie is literally coming down to its last level in the sand at $29. So, you know, to be fair with Axie, I could see this potentially coming a tiny bit lower. Maybe doing something like a double bottom before we do get out of here. But bear in mind, you know, closes below $29, $28. The lower we break below this trend line at $29.25, then the worse it gets for Axie. You can see not a lot of volume coming in, but it does seem to be predominantly selling volume, especially since the 29th of April. There's been a ton of selling volume coming into Axie. It really does seem like this is getting beaten down. Like I said, the exact same thing I said for SLP. There is no bottom in sight. I do not try and plan to catch a falling knife. The trend is your friend until the end. The trend is clearly pointing very, very harshly towards the downside. I don't see any bottoming indicators playing out. Sure, we could be having a bottom as we have come down to your literal last level of support before we have a 50% drop. However, you know, would you rather DCA at this region, or would you rather DCA a confirmed breakout? Or on the flip side, if you do believe in Axie in the long term, would you not rather DCA if we do come down to these lower levels like $15? That's what I think personally. I don't necessarily think it's safe to be trading any altcoins right now, especially Axie Infinity and SLP. You know, we've got the Fed meeting coming up, we've got confidence exiting the market, and it has only been a short period of time since the Ronin network hack that affected Axie and SLP. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. If you were looking at the charts alone and basing this off the oscillators, you might think that the absolute bottom is in, but you know, the oscillators can't take into account that the Ronin network was hacked for 600 million. So I definitely think sitting on the sidelines for the next couple of days is probably going to be a good idea for the altcoin market. That's what I plan on doing, at least. Let me know what you plan on doing down below. That's all I've got for you today. As always, cowboy out, not financial advice. Peace.